Okay, here's a tab that I wanted to clear out. That's been open for a while. I read this article, or skimmed it, I should say, a while back, a couple months ago, and read some of the offshoot stuff. Because, well, obviously the pictures resemble something well known in the United States, but these pointed hat style costumes, if you will, are actually quite common, it seems, in a lot of different European Catholic tradition. So this in particular, well, whoopsie, I clicked talk. Yeah, this is just about the hat. But yeah, you really see these in a lot of different stuff. Um, and then it ended up being part of the KKK. So, which I just noticed is in the talk category here. I found this article through the Dunce cap, reading about the Dunce cap, which I think I just saw mentioned somewhere in here. Anyway, let's just get into it. The Capirote. Oh, I should see how it's pronounced. I'm guessing since this is Spanish that it's like Capirote. I'm guessing the E is pronounced and it's not Capirote. So, assuming it's Capirote, I'll pronounce it as Capirote. How about that? Just to be English. A capirote is a Catholic pointed hat of conical form that is used in Spain and Hispanic countries by members of a confraternity of penitents. Confraternity of penitents. Oh, my goodness. Confraternities of penitents. Um, Irmandade Penitencial are Christian religious congregations with statutes prescribing various penitential works. They are especially popular in the Catholic Church. Members of the confraternities of penitents practice mortification of the flesh through fasting, the use of the discipline, the wearing of a hair shirt, among other instruments of penance. Hair shirt. Okay, this is suddenly okay. I'm gonna have. There's a lot to go off. Darn it! I wanted to just clear this article and be done, but darn, now I have to do all that too. Okay. Anyway, um, we'll look more into that. It is part of the uniform of such brotherhoods, including the Nazarenos and the Fariseos during Easter observances, and reenactments in some areas during Holy Week in Spain and its former colonies, though similar hoods are common in other Christian countries such as Italy. Capirote are worn by penitents so that attention is not drawn towards themselves as they repent, but instead to God. I assume the point towards the sky, the heavens, is to God. History. Historically, the flagellants, my goodness, there's so much to read here, are the origin of the current tradition as they flogged themselves with a discipline. Oh, is a discipline an item? I don't know anything about like Catholic stuff. A discipline is a small scourge, whip, used as an instrument of penance by certain members of some Christian denominations in the spiritual discipline known as mortification of the flesh. So they whip themselves. That is so unbiblical. Like, where? How do you justify that with the Bible? Like, what? Like, Jesus was the final sacrifice, so that like we don't have to, well, that we can find salvation through His sacrifice and repentance. Well, whatever. This is weird. Um, okay, they flogged themselves with a discipline to do penance. Pope Clement VI ordered that flagellants could perform penance only under control of the Church. He decreed inter solicitudinis, inner concerns. So that's inner concerns for suppression. This is considered one of the reasons why flagellants often hid their faces. Cool. The use of a capirote or carroza was prescribed in Spain by the Holy Office of Inquisition. Men and women who were arrested had to wear a paper capirote in public as a sign of public humiliation. Oh, so it wasn't good to wear it. who were arrested had to wear. Oh, probably because the people in charge thought that they were super holy and doing God's will by killing. Yeah. The capirote was worn during the session of an auto da fe, auto from faith, an auto da fe, was the ritual of public penance carried out between the 15th and 19th centuries of condemned heretics and apostates, imposed by the Spanish, Portuguese, or Mexican Inquisition as punishment and enforced by civil authorities. Man, there's going to be a lot to read here. The color was different, conforming to the judgment of the office. People who were condemned to be executed wore a red caroza. Other punishments used different colors. When the Inquisition was abolished, the symbol of punishment and penitence was kept in the Catholic Brotherhood. However, the capirotes used today are different. They are covered in fine fabric as prescribed by the Brotherhood. To this day, they are still worn during the celebration of the Holy Week, Easter, most notably in Andalusia by penitentes. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Penitentes. I don't know. I'm sorry. By penitents, we'll say that, who perform public penance for their sins, who walk through streets with the capirote. The usage of the capirote during the Holy Week was once common throughout Spain's colonies, but this custom has since died out in most of them by the late 19th century. Notable exceptions to this are some parts of Mexico and Guatemala. Similar hoods are common in other Christian countries such as Italy. We also had such as Italy up here. The author really wanted to note that Italy was also Christian. The capirote is today the symbol of the Catholic penitent. Only members of a confraternity of penance are allowed to wear them during solemn processions. Children can receive the capirote after their first Holy Communion when they enter the Brotherhood. Design. Historically, the design is called the capirote, but the Brotherhood is covered with fabric together with their face in the metal of the Brotherhood that is worn underneath. The cloth has two holes for the penitent to see through. The insignia or crest of the Brotherhood is usually embroidered on the capirote in fine gold. The capirote is worn during the whole penance. Use outside of the Catholic Church. This is where it gets a bummer. Well, the Catholic Church historically is already a bummer. Not hitting on the Catholic Church today, just we know that the Catholic Church as an institution did a lot of bad in the past. According to historian Michael K. Jerrison, the capirote was appropriated by the early 20th century American Ku Klux Klan, a white supremacist and anti-Catholic group. Allison Kinney of New Republic traces the modern uniform to the popularity of the film, The Birth of a Nation, whose costume inspiration was not credited. The Birth of a Nation is a terrible film that really did a lot of bad for America, just in cultural founding, kind of a cultural perception of the African American community in a negative light. They had a blackface actor, which was what they did back then. Blackface actor that was like supposed to be like a super. I think it was like a super dumb person trying to rape like an innocent little white girl, and the white girl ended up killing herself to avoid being raped. And that was kind of the that was media of the time. The Birth of a Nation is an abomination. Oh well. Well, actually, hold on. Let me just disclaim by saying I've never actually seen it. So I'm I'm speaking out of turn, I suppose. That's just what I've seen, little clips of it. I should probably watch it before I speak too strongly on it. So I apologize for that. Oh well. I know it didn't have it. Well, yeah. Let me just move on from that. From what I hear, it's not a very good thing. In popular culture, the penitent one wears a capirote in the video games Blasphemous video game and Blasphemous 2. Never heard of these games. Oh, okay. Look at that. Look at that. He's got a big old honking capirote. Cool. Time for pictures. Procession of the Reales Cofradías Fusionadas in Malaga. Reales Confradías Fusionadas in Malaga. So we've got a green hood here, white hood, blue hood, black hood, red hood. He's going to be executed. No gloves here. Black gloves, white gloves, black gloves, all black. And I wonder what these kind of girders are. Their little thing around them. Oh, actually, what are their staves like? Are all their staves the same? Yeah, they are. He's trying to fix his mask. They're wearing cute little sandals. Okay, this one, Brotherhood with Green Capirotes in Malaga. Man, what an interesting cultural thing. There are so many cultures that just have such unique costume wear. Like I read about this one. I'm going to try to find it to read it online. Um, it's some weird festival, I think, leading up to more or less Halloween or like Oktoberfest or maybe even Christmas in some Germanic, I want to say, country where people wear like these honestly like horrific uh, masks of like caricatures of stuff, and they like go around spooking people. Are they all holding massive candles there? I don't know. I need to find it. It's so interesting. Um, Brotherhood of Saint Rochus with velvet caprotes. And then like the Congo. Congo has some wild stuff. Okay, I'm gonna end this really quickly because my roommate is coming down, and I've talked about that before. Look at that. That's such an interesting thing, you know? And like if we saw this here in the United States, man, it would it would not go over well. Confraternity of penitents in Italy, mortifying the flesh with disciplines in a 7-hour procession. Hoods similar to the capirote are worn by penitents in order to not draw attention to themselves, but to God. These are not very well. They're quite dapper, if I may say so. Huh? The Inquisition Tribunal. Look at that. Procession of Flagellants, Goya. Prisoner wearing capirote and San Benito, Goya. Execution of Francisca Nunez de Carvajal, Mexico City, 1601. He's wearing a capirote. Such interesting stuff. Okay, there are a lot of different offshoot articles that I'm going to have to read on this one. The Dunce. This is how I got here initially. Um, Here, my roommate seems to just be walking around upstairs, so I'll try to read this quick. Dunce. Dunce is a mild insult in English, meaning a person who is slow at learning or stupid. And pardon me if I just dip all of a sudden. The etymology given by Richard Stanihurst is that the word is derived from the name of the Scottish scholastic theologian and philosopher John Dunce Scotus, which that's a whole nother reading there. But he was there we are, a Franciscan friar, and a number of other things. Scholastic theology, scholasticism is a whole nother thing. Medieval school philosophy that employed a critical, organic method of philosophical analysis, predicted upon the Aristotelian 10 categories. A dunce cap, also variously known as a dunce hat, dunce's cap, or dunce's hat, is a pointed hat formerly used as an article of discipline in schools in Europe and the United States, especially in the 19th and early 20th centuries, for children who were disruptive or were considered slow in learning. That's nice. Discipline a child that just is not learning quickly. In the 19th century, it was seen by some as degrading. In 1831, children's book author Sidney Babcock wrote of the dunce cap as debasing and harsh, and in 1899, historian Alice Morse Earle compared it to other forms of school discipline she saw as degrading and outdated. It became unpopular in the early 20th century. Some American schools still permitted caps as late as the 1950s, however, and it was more recently banned in several areas in England and Wales in 2010. In modern pedagogy, punishments like dunce caps have fallen out of favor. Who would have guessed? By 1927, an editorial in the Educational Research Bulletin stated, The rod and the cap were not eminently successful. We have our doubts about exclusion being the solution to the problem. High scholarship is not produced by students who have their curiosity stifled by their teachers. Curiosity must be stimulated if scholarship is desired, and sympathy is essential to this stimulation. The Oxford English Dictionary cites mid 16th century examples of the term dunce used to describe a follower of Duns Scotus, a person engaged in ridiculous pedantry, whatever, or a person regarded as a fool or dimwit. A visual depiction of the hat was first shown in the 1727 edition of the New England Primer, and the term dunce's cap is recorded as early as 1791. The first use of the term in literature was in 1840 in Charles Dickens' The Old Curiosity Shop. The dunce cap has also been connected with donkeys to portray the student as asinine. An engraving featured in an early 1900s textbook depicts a child sitting on a wooden donkey in an 18th century classroom wearing a dunce cap with donkey ears. A similar cap made of paper and called a capirote was prescribed for sinners and penitents during the Spanish Inquisition. And here's that engraving of the boy with the dunce cap and the donkey ears. Good old classic schooling. This is how God wanted it. A young boy wearing a dunce cap in class from a staged photo. 1906. Yep. Yeah, I'll have a lot more to read. Yeah. Okay, cool. See ya.